I'm unstoppable. Forget your defense, nothing but an obstacle. Run it back, switch it up, call it audible. Serving up them Hail Marys till the game over with the showstopper. So hot, you gotta blow on it. I said I'll huff and I'll puff, then I'll pass to my left while I'm looking to my right. Hit him right in the chest. It be looking like magic. Better give me the throne. I ain't talking about Patrick, but I rep my home. I'm never at the end of my zone. I'm bad to the bone. Eating up these pig skins like they chicharrones. And you a douche cabron. Mira, mira at the mirror on the wall. I'm the greatest of them all. They gon' put me in the hall. Your name is only written in a bathroom stall. Quit your stalling and make a play. My drive too long. Pop the clutch, I don't pump the brakes. I know what it takes to gain the muscle, get rugged. These butterfingers be fumbling. Squash the scrimmage and rub it in Robitussin. How I give them concussion. They see in double, they rushing and pass the shovel. The dirt and rubble, I bury them under it. Stay in your huddle and get 10 yards back. Never turn your back. I'ma pull your flag. I go full contact. Out punch, out kick like a shotgun blast on one out snap. It's a fact that I'm unstoppable. Forget your defense, nothing but an obstacle. Run it back, switch it up, calling audible. Serving up them Hail Marys to the...
Welcome back to another episode of Hoshima Podcast. And I'm not even gonna ask the guys how they're feeling because we all feel the same. We are disappointed. We don't even want to get into the game or even discuss the game because it was a shit show. Just like part of the organization is a shit show. But let's go ahead and get into it. Starting with our sponsorship at www.fanbattlesports.com, where you can find all of our past episodes, merchandise, articles that we're going to be publishing on the website. Check us out. Like I said, merchandise is great. Go check us out on merchandise. Check out the past episodes where we're not as disappointed as we are today due to what happened on yesterday. But yeah, check us out at fanbattlesports.com. And let's get into the episode. Guess what happened on yesterday, guys? Colts been eliminated from the playoffs contention. Didn't see that coming. And, I know you guys, I'm going to ask you guys, did y'all see that coming? I guess so.
Yesterday.
Not yesterday? Oh, against the Jags?
Yeah.
But yeah, man, we got eliminated.
Not to the worst team in the league. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's never happened in the Ballard regime. We always beat the bad teams.
Yeah, I think it was a couple years ago we lost week 18.
The Jags.
The Jags that gave up their first overall pick.
3 years ago? Carson Wentz's last game?
2021. Yeah.
Yeah, that's how jaded we are. That's how bad we've sucked.
Yeah, and they actually kept their first overall pick because they didn't need to. They had it clinched that they would be the first overall pick, regardless if they win or lose. So they played with confidence that, hey, we're not going to lose, regardless of what we have going on in our organization. I wish our team did the same thing on yesterday, but they let us down once again. And it leads to questions like this. Is this the end of Chris Ballard? And I'll let Harish go. I know he got a lot to say, followed by Austin on his take. Is it time for this asshole to go?
Yeah, it's been time for 3 years. This guy should have been gone 3 years ago. I don't know. The moment he said, my time here doesn't start until I draft a QB is the moment this guy should have been fired. That is unacceptable. And we'll talk about this later, but this just shows as I am the I don't think it shows on my display name. If you take away the banner rope, you'll see. Yep, president of the lack of accountability. That's what I am. That's what this is all about. This organization, this team, this regime lacks accountability, and it starts with Jim Irsay and it goes down to Chris Ballard. It's embarrassing how this team just continues to come to big games that matter to get into the playoffs and just fall over and over and over and over and over again. Like, it's embarrassing at this point. And the fact that it's like we were down, what was it, like 21-0 or 21-6?
21-3.
21-3, and this team was walking around in the offense. Like everybody's like walking around. We're getting into a huddle. Like it's like some like and we got all this time in the world. Like, well, there's no even the broadcasters call it. Like, what are they doing? There's no sense of urgency. People are walking around. This is all predicated on Jim Irsay and Chris Ballard. The fact that he hasn't been fired yet is embarrassing to me, to the entire Colts organization, and that's Jim Irsay. So I've got more to say, but I'll stop there. I can go a whole hour by just by myself. That's how embarrassing this is.
You can continue. We got time. We got 40 minutes.
I'm good.
So,
I'm good. I'm sure we got other topics we can point to the same thing.
all right, fire away, Austin. Fire away.
Yeah, I mean, we've all said it pretty much all season. We think he should have been fired already. And after yesterday, I mean, it's truly unacceptable. Like when we still had a chance to make the playoffs and we lose to the 2-13 Giants. They haven't won at home all year. They haven't scored 30 points all year. They win at home. They score 45. Like, not just Chris Ballard, but like a lot of change needs to happen this offseason.
You guys are being too nice. Way too nice. I got to read what I saw on Twitter or in a chat where this is the following. Chris Ballard has three different head coaches. I know Chuba Garner is only 1 year, but that's still his head.
Yeah.
Frank Wright and now Shane Steichen. 12 starting quarterbacks in 8 years. 12. I don't want to go through the name
That's
of them,
crazy.
but 12 starting quarterbacks. Different week one starters every year from 2017 to 2023. A 61, 69, and 1 record. That one was a tie with the Texans when they had a bad season. They drafted CJ Stroud. So 0 division titles. Each team in the AFC South have won the division twice. 2 playoff berths, 1 playoff win. Choked multiple times in big games against bad teams, Jacksonville and the Giants. Large blown leads in the NFL history. You guys remember the Vikings game up 33-0. Consistent locker room drama. That list goes on from Darius Leonard to DT to Anthony Richardson, you name it. Refused to add talent through the free agency and trades. The one trade he did make was DeForest Buckner. That's it. The other guys, anything in the in season has been a depth trade, and I don't think he ever traded in season. I can't remember if he did. Whoever it is, I'm sorry to forget your name. Obviously, he wasn't an impact player because I don't remember your name. Because DeForest Buckner was the only guy that he traded for. That's all I got to say far as what his resume is as an 8-year GM for the Indianapolis Colts, who was a scout and saw a great GM by the name of John Dorsey build a team like the Chiefs that are now have won 3 Super Bowls or 4 Super Bowls. They won so many, I can't remember how many it's been, but he built that team to what now is a standard in the AFC. And they'll keep winning and winning and winning. Starting with getting a quarterback by the name of Patrick Mahomes. He got Marcus Peters. He got Chris Jones. I think Chris Jones came afterwards. I can't remember. But just the list of players that John Dorsey have brought in before he went to the Browns. And even then, he built the Browns team before they fired him. That shows you that how can Chris Ballard be a scout for a guy that's that great, have built teams, and he has not done anything as a GM building a team. I know folks say it's a small market. I don't think Kansas City is a big market team. Yeah,
No,
you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, but they have done a lot with their cap, starting with their quarterback, got a 10-year contract. They have made moves after moves after moves, getting DeAndre Hopkins, little nothing. I mean, trading Tyreek Hill and still winning with guys like Scal, whatever his name is, Valdez Scanley. They've won with Juju Smith Schuster. I mean, they won with what they got from the receiver from Georgia. He's pretty
I feel
fast.
like I know who you're talking about, but I'm drawing a blank.
Yeah, me too. He's pretty fast, but yeah. I mean, just the list of guys that they've added onto the team drafting. They draft well, and they're able to win games. And he was a scouter, and he gets the job, a head job in Indianapolis. He's supposed to change the culture. Culture is still an issue right now. And it's year 8. We're still saying the same thing about the culture. I thought even with Shane Steichen, the culture would be different. But as before we get into the next topic, we had a former player that has a podcast that explains all about the culture. And it starts with the guy upstairs that owns the team and Jim Irsay.
I think there's one more thing to add to this whole thing. Like,
go ahead.
The copious amount of draft picks that this guy passed up on.
Yes, a list of
the quarterbacks that he listen. I love to. You guys know I love DeForest Buckner, and
correct.
And I get that at the time it was maybe seemed like the right move. The lack of urgency to go get a quarterback and the constant excuses that he provided to not go get a quarterback was insane to me. Like, if I'm a GM, and I've told you guys this I've told you guys this all the time. And also this comment is the problem too. If keep this comment, I got something to say about that. If I'm the GM, I'm drafting a quarterback every single year until I find one. Every year. First round, third round, fifth round, seventh round. Dude, the freaking 49ers got the last pick of the draft and have been to 2 NFC title games. Yeah, sure. Forget the guy is struggling now. But 2 NFC title games, like back-to-back seasons, that keeps the fans happy. That keeps the lights on. That keeps your job, and you can go find the next move. Like, you're drafting the team. You should be drafting a quarterback every year until you find one. Like, I don't like the amount of like mockery behind the whole quarterback thing is insane to me. They could have had Josh Allen. They could have traded up, gotten Justin Herbert. You could have had Justin Fields. You could have had Jordan Love. Like, look at the amount you could have lost enough last year and gotten C.J. Stroud instead of Anthony Richardson. For like this quarterback problem is beyond Anthony Richardson. Instead, he chose Phillip Rivers. He chose Matt Ryan. He chose Joe Flacco. He chose like a bunch of 40-year-old nobodies.
Brissett.
Yeah, Jacoby Brissett. Like, fine, Jacoby Brissett was your bridge, but you should have been drafting a quarterback every year. The Jacoby Brissett. It's like it is disgusting. Like and then just the constant excuse. Oh, we don't have a quarterback. As soon as I draft my quarterback, that's when my time starts. Like that. Oh my God, I will never forget that quote. And the day that he said that, like I was fuming. The day I'm like, wait, what is this? And then he got extension on top of extension. and that comment that Sarah mentioned about, like, I believe they're waiting for the season to be over. This is insane to me. This shows a lack of accountability. This means that Jim Irsay, I don't care what Jim Irsay tells you about, like, oh, I want to win another Super Bowl before, I'm 400 million years old. He doesn't care about winning Super Bowls, dude. That dude's out there selling guitars. He doesn't care about winning Super Bowls. Chris Ballard Jim Irsay is just responsible for this whole thing as Chris Ballard is. Right? He's even more so responsible. I always say it starts at the top. Right?
Always.
He wasted the last 15 years of Colts football, if you really look at it. 16 years of Colts. Ever since Peyton Manning walked out that door, Jim Irsay has wasted this franchise. Completely wasted this franchise. He took way too long to get rid of Ryan Grigson and Chuck Pagano. He took way too long to he let Chris Ballard in, and he let Chris Ballard hire the staff before even hiring the coach. He's like, you know what, Frank Reich, this is your staff. You all right? Yep, sounds good. Let's do it. He like the way that he has built this team, the way he's built this franchise, the way he has disappointed this entire thing is an absolute joke. And I don't think we can talk about like AR and all that stuff. Honestly, like I don't care what happens to AR because that's not his fault. I hope if I was AR, I'd find my way out of here. Try to go find a franchise that cares about developing me because clearly it's not the case. I think the Colts need a complete overhaul. And we'll talk about that later.
And before we do, let's get into these comments. Adam J said, "What's up, fellas?" And the champ is here. I guess he won the fantasy football. I gave up on the team just like the team gave up on us yesterday.
I gave up like Chris Ballard gave up on this fantasy. I gave up like.
But yeah, congratulations, Adam. You guys did win. So Craig, congratulations in order for you for winning the fantasy football. Sarah said King House. I mean, yeah, get him out of here. Adams break things all the way down. Jim is no longer capable of running our Colts. I mean, we've always been saying time for daughters to take over. Fire Chris Ballard, fire Gus Bradley, rebuild the practice facility, start brand new. Hey, Adam, we are with you. Trust me, we are with you. All the homies hate Chris Ballard. I mean, I don't care if your homie, your grandparents, the grandkids. It's time for the guy to go.
The dog, everybody.
What's going on, Sean? Welcome back to the comment section and tuning into the podcast. And yeah, we're on a different night because tomorrow night we don't want to be on you guys, interrupt you guys' night before New Year. We want you guys to celebrate and enjoy ourselves. It's already been miserable enough watching the Colts for the past 15 years, including yesterday. So we didn't want to ruin your New Year's Eve watching us complain about the Colts and what they're going to do next. So thank you guys for tuning in. Huh?
Or not going to do next.
Or not going to do next. And yeah, you're right. Andy Reid is a genius. But that speaks volume of having a GM getting a coach that was fired from Philly who wasn't, I mean, he was good, successful as Philly. He just didn't win a Super Bowl. Gets to the Chiefs. They end up getting him Alex Smith, who's, getting older. But he managed games until they got their quarterback, and he's been great ever since. But that just speaks volume of what John Dorsey can do. And I mean, we know that Chris Ballard was in that locker. He was in that organization watching what was going on. He gets to Indy and forget about all that. Forget about how to build a team. Make excuses, like you said, make excuses for quarterback. Not want to be. People need to understand. Free agency is not about overspending for a product that may not be as good on your team. It's about making the team better. When you add on an addition to the team, you're making that team just much better. I mean, look what happened with Tennessee. They made a lot of acquisitions. Yeah, their team wasn't good because their quarterback played and possibly the head coach. But they made additions to the defense and they made additions to their offense. India is not doing that. They're not doing it. Minnesota just won with a guy that's been on several different teams, and they're like 14-2, possibly getting the number 1 seed. That should tell you that.
A guy I advocated for, by the way. I just want to let you know. I said, hey, Sam Darnold with the right system, the right coach, the right offense is actually serviceable. He's really good.
It doesn't help that you got Jetta too. You got Jetta. We don't have a Jetta.
I said the right offense, the right guys, the right team. I literally, people realize Sam Darnold started the Jets. You know who the Jets quarterback is? 41-year-old just came off of an Achilles, Aaron Rodgers.
Who, when I get to the next segment, I will speak on that as well too. But that just shows you all the other teams that gave Baker Mayfield got cut. Same journey. Goes to the Buccaneers. Yes. So it makes no sense for Chris Ballard to see other teams, other quarterbacks, or how they're building a team around guys that are cast-offs. We thought Sam Darnold was done. We thought Baker Mayfield was done. And look where
y'all thought Sam Darnold was done.
Look where they are.
Don't put me in that conversation. I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, the world thought he was done because of he's been moving around from team to team. He was with the Panthers. He was with, the Niners. He was just everywhere as a cast-off, as a backup. And now they got a problem over there in Minnesota because they drafted a quarterback this year. And now what? This guy got them 14-2. How can you replicate that next year with J.J. McCarthy?
It's hard. It's going to be hard. Show, like, the GM is responsible for building the system. Like, every quarterback is a system quarterback. I've said it all year. It is your job as the GM to build the system around the quarterback that you draft. You have to know who your quarterback is, what his strengths are, get him a coach that'll coach him to his strengths, and get him players around that play to his strengths. And that's exactly like Sam Darnold is an excellent example of this. Like Minnesota, like, was like, okay, we have to shuffle quickly. Oh, I know I brought in Sam Darnold. I know he's going to fit this offense because I know these are the things that he does well. Oh, and lo and behold, he spent a couple years in a not trash organization in San Francisco. Very same system, in Minnesota that was in San Francisco. You're not teaching him anything new. All the concepts are the same. You just have a coach and a quarterback coach that can help him build his strengths. Like that is what building an organization is. That's what a GM does. Like that's literally his job. And kudos to the GM of the Vikings. Like pivoted, which we don't do in Indianapolis either. He pivoted really quickly and said, "This is my."
While adding other pieces, adding a running back from that was cut from the Packers and Adam Jones. So that just shows you right there. I mean, having, like I said, nobody was going to give Sam Darnold a chance to be a starter, but having a Kevin McConnell take a chance on him and build an offense around him into his strengths, knowing he has some weaknesses, but his strengths overcame those weaknesses this year, and have those guys in a potential in position to get a first round bye with the Lions next week. So shout out to him and the GM and building that team. But let's get into this next topic. Pat McAfee's rant. Soon after the Colts lost to the Giants, he had a big tweet listing everything that he's been saying for weeks. Despite the back and forth with him and Zaire going back and forth on the podcast and stuff like that. But I'm not gonna go into the whole. I should read the whole thing. You guys want to read it?
No, I think we can paraphrase it or like put a link in the chat to it if we want to. I'll go.
Yeah, but basically he was just saying that the culture is bad, which he's been saying a long time. For a long time, he's been saying that the Colts haven't won the division in 10 years, which is true. He's saying that when he spoke about AR, I do understand that AR, what he's seen with AR is unheard of. We have never seen him before. It was a mistake. The guy's 22 years old. I am not saying I'm not sitting here saying I am defending him, but I'm not saying that what he did was right. I'm saying that it's a mistake. He possibly should have lied. But the coach didn't do him any justice either. His coach allowed him to fall on his face by benching him and say, hey, our best chance to win is with Flacco, the guy that's only 1-4 as a starter, but the guy that you bench has a better record. But I get Pat McAfee's anger towards the guys in the locker room that's defended him and called him just a punter. He's just a punter. And I get that he had to throw out that he's having so many subscribers and he's been successful. I get all that. He earned it after what his career ending early in Indy. But I also want to point out before one of y'all take over this topic is that he was so quick to pass judgment with Aaron Rodgers. He was so quick to go ahead and just move forward with Joe Flacco while defending a bomb in New York Jets, who only won 4 games. He's still speaking highly of him, only because he benefits him on the podcast, coming on his show and saying all the nice things. That's contradicting because he sucks. He's been throwing picks. He threw 3 picks yesterday. And are he going to say, hey, guy, he don't even have a segment when the guys have a bad game. He just ignores it. He showed some other light to other teams. But if something that happens in the Indy that he don't agree with, as far as Anthony Richardson, he nail him to the wall, talk about him, how bad it was, and let's move on with Joe Flacco. I don't agree with those type of things. I think he should have, as he's done all year, supported the team. Give criticism, but still support Anthony Richardson moving forward. That way the guy have the confidence that, hey, I'm not going to make that mistake again. I made a bad decision, but I'm going to move forward and learn from those mistakes like we all do. None of us perfect. We're all going to fall on our face at some point, but it's how we get up and bounce back moving forward. He didn't do that. He pretty much just bashed him and move on with Flacco. But I didn't agree with that, so I let one of you guys take over this big rant. from Pat McAfee. Go ahead, Austin.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I didn't agree with when he said Flacco gave us a better chance to win, but everything he said yesterday after the game was true. And maybe it's what needed to be said. Maybe Jim Irsay will see it and he'll actually make a change. A lot of a couple like T.Y. Hilton commented under it. Robert Mathis commented under it, and then you also had Marlon
What
Jackson.
they say? I didn't know what those two
They
said.
pretty much were just saying like the equivalent of the eye emoji, like like they agree with him. They agree with what he's saying, pretty much. Marlon Jackson talked on not necessarily what Pat said, but just former players saying stuff, especially players that won a Super Bowl in Indy. Jim Irsay is going to see that, and maybe he'll make a change.
Yeah, especially if you have a guy that's been a season ticket holder, which he said he's not going to renew. And I don't have a problem with that if he's not renewing it. I think some of that is just pretty much just been pouting because there was negative feedback for what he said, and it's going to be that way. But he shouldn't take it personal. But go ahead, Harish.
First and foremost, I just realized T.Y. Hilton blocked me. I don't know why.
Wow.
I have no idea why. Never said anything to T.Y. Hilton, just on the show. But he blocked me. But him putting the little like popcorn gif is really showing and telling.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is telling of everything Pat said. Listen, Pat McAfee, he's a media guy, right? At the end of the day, he's gonna say what he says because he works for the media. He doesn't work for the Colts. He doesn't work for podcaster Ziggy Smalls, whatever the hell his name is. He doesn't work for Zaire Franklin or any of those guys. He works for himself and ESPN, and he has a show. Like, he is responsible to make these players happy. He is not responsible to make Anthony Richardson happy. You know what makes him happy and not say the things he does? Go doing the things that he says that you're not good at, right? Like, stop going out there and saying, "Oh, you hate the team as a former alumni. You were just a punter." Yeah, whether you like it or not, Pat McAfee was a punter, but Pat McAfee actually has won a division title. Whether you like it or not, Pat McAfee has been to the playoffs and has won playoff games. Whether you like it or not, it might have not been under the greatest GM in the world, and we all know how terrible he was. Yes, he might have been able to do it under Andrew Luck. But think about all the times Pat McAfee had to punt really well and play the field position game in a lot of those games for this team to be successful because the defense was terrible. So listen, nothing Pat McAfee said is shocking. He's not wrong. He's watching the team just like the rest of us. And truth be told, nothing he said was incorrect. Like when you're quarterback, and initially I was like, whatever. But as you go week over week, and Anthony Richardson is just another example of how this team isn't being held accountable, right? It's like, oh, you tapped out of a game. In a game it was against Houston, right? A game you had to have. You're tapping out, and it's like, oh yeah, I was tired. Like, it was no big deal. The way he said it, it was like it was no big deal. Yeah, I was tired, so I just decided to tap out. That's a problem. And then just seeing everything that's happened ever since, like, it just goes back to the beginning. It's a problem. Like, this team has an accountability problem, and nobody holds anybody accountable. They just want to do whatever they want. Yeah, we lost the Giants. I'm gonna make I got a podcast episode tomorrow. But hey, I missed 4 tackles yesterday. No big deal. We may or may not fix that. Don't worry about it. We'll figure that out later. But let me go talk about how I really want to play bad teams. So I've got nothing with anything Pat said. Let Pat cook. Like, Pat is there's nothing that Pat said. Now the only thing is let's not get too out of control, Pat. Like, Joe Flacco, if we were still gonna lose, we'd probably still lose more games with Joe Flacco than we would have without him. But I don't. I wouldn't renew my season tickets either. I would wait for this team to show that they're going to make changes, and then before, if I'm any season ticket holder, I wouldn't even go next week. Who do they play next week? Jacksonville. Yeah, I wouldn't even show up to the stadium. I hope there's
Meanest
like
game.
10 people
That would hit them in the pocket where they definitely need. If fans don't show up, that should show, hey, we're not supporting this shit. If you're going to continue to have this guy in this front office acting like a car salesman, saying all the right things, but not putting anything out on the field to produce. 10 years and no division title, and we all have had our problems with Ryan Grissom being ass, but he damn sure won some division titles. He damn sure did.
You're there, man.
He
Every
damn
year. Hey, gosh. I want to send out a public apology to Dan Dakich because he called this like 4 years ago, 5 years. Yeah, he's been saying this since like Ballard's third year. He's like, dude, this guy hasn't done anything. Like, what are we so excited about? And here we are, like 6 years later.
Do you think?
You're right.
Do you think? I think that fans and respond to when their expectation does not meet reality. That's when they lash out at people like Pat McAfee trying to run them out of town, and Dan. When they I have my problem with Dan too, but it's the way he said it. They do that all the time. Fans do that all the time until they see the reality, which is right now where we got embarrassed by the Giants. And it hit home. It hit home for everybody. Everybody now agreeing with those guys. So yeah, if whoever all the fans are around, Dan and Pat McAfee deserve an apology. Because
I think Dan's a little bit different though, because Dan came out pretty quickly, right?
Yeah,
and he was like third year in. It's like, yeah, this guy sucks. And the way he said it, and the reason why he said it was because because he's like Ryan Grigson's buddy, right? Like where his position from it was a little bit different as well.
Yeah,
but he wasn't wrong, and I still don't think Ryan Grigson was a good GM. Now,
oh yeah, I agree with that. Yeah,
I think
worse,
Ryan
though.
Grigson and Chris Ballard are tied for like worst GMs in Colts history for two different reasons. Ryan Grigson spent all the money, didn't draft anybody. Chris Ballard drafted everybody, didn't spend any money. Like they're both terrible for the opposite sides of the spectrum.
It's like night and day, but still bad. And
Ryan Grigson is still responsible for Andrew Luck ending his. That's not coming off of his mind.
I want to go over the comments that were said. Nick said her name was McCole Harmon. I do, yes, that's the receiver that they picked up, who was pretty great for them. And I've seen comments where it said Battle needs to be fired immediately. I've seen where it said in the same 8 years, how many teams have rebuild. Chris said, Chris Battle needs to go. Sarah, I don't know yet, but she said AR to me is not the answer. She said Shane Steichen is not the answer. A lot of people are mad right now, and I can't fault that. I can't. This is where you can vent. I know there's going to be a lot of overreactions. Some I can't. Like I said, I can't. I don't want to say who's overreacting. I'm not going to say who's not overreacting, but a lot of things will be said up until we get a notification that they're saying this guy is being termed, and the guy I'm saying is Chris Ballard. So go ahead.
It's not on the list, but do you guys have like where are your thoughts on AR at this point? Like where do you sit with the whole AR situation? We'll obviously talk about Shane, right? We'll talk about Shane and his stupid press conference stuff. But what do you guys think about AR at this point?
I'll let Austin answer, and then I'll give my take on
it. Me personally, I want to give him another year. I think he still can be great. I do think he can be great, but I just want to see another year. And if he doesn't get better, it is what it is. You count your losses.
Me personally, I'm on the same stance because he's in the middle of an issue with the culture. It's not his fault. He came in at the wrong time. So it's not his fault. For a guy that's needing to develop, he's came in the wrong time. With I don't want to blame Shane. I definitely want to place the blame on the GM that's not putting the talent around him. Yeah, we got wide receivers. We can say, hey, our wide receivers, we got too many wide receiver twos. We don't have a tight end. That's the credit. That's the issue for the GM. Defense, definitely a Ballard and Bradley problem. But here he is, our head coach saying that I think Gus Bradley is a good good DC. I get he gonna have to defend his guys because that's the guy that he brought in to replace Matt Eberflus. But your defense is not as good. You missed so many missed tackles. Harish, if you got time, how many missed tackles were there on Sunday? Because that was bad. It was terrible. And embarrassing to see a team that has has a linebacker that's leading the league in tackles. Having guys that talking on a podcast saying that they're going to do this, they're going to do that, and not perform on the field as they're streaming their hour podcast. That's disappointing. You got Nick Cross missing tackles. He's always out of position when the Malik Neighbors was taking off every play. It felt like every time we had momentum, Neighbors was there again making plays. What's the other guy making plays? I can't even remember his name. Wandale Robinson was making plays. That was just piss poor defense overall. I get people want to say Flacco put up 30-some points, but he had to come back. He had to come down from 21-3 to do that, and basically being a shootout with a team that's had the first overall pick. That's not a side of I won't be proud to say, hey, Flacco gave us a chance to win. But it shouldn't be like that. It should have been a convincing win, like it should have been a convincing win last week against the Titans. But our defense allowed them to come back. That's what I'm saying. That's the issue I'm having. It ain't just AR in his inconsistency. AR is just in the middle of an era where the culture is bad. The GM is bad. I don't want to say the coach is bad yet because he only been there 2 years, along with the quarterback. I think possibly another year or two, and we'll see that. If he's bad with those 2 years, get him out of here. I'm okay with that. It won't hurt me to say it's time for him to go. It don't. I'm tired. I'm tired, guys. I'm tired. So at this point, anything that give us a best chance to win, I'll take it. If in 2 years or a year or so, whatever, if we got an opportunity to get Arch Manning, God damn it, go get his ass. I'm okay with that. That's what I'm at, Harish.
Just to kind of let you guys know, 10 missed tackles yesterday.
10?
10.
Double digits.
Double-digit missed tackles, and I think that's like the 4th or 5th time that's happened this season. So they had 10 yesterday. Last week we didn't get a chance to take a look at this. They had 18 missed tackles in a game they won by 8 against the Titans. Against the Broncos, 6 missed tackles in a game they got dominated by. And then they had a bye week the week before that. Yeah, so you kind of get the point. This team can't tackle worth a tree. So,
yes.
Yeah. 10 missed tackles yesterday. Believe it or not, Zaire Franklin and the podcasters only combined for 2.
Oh.
So that's actually quite impressive. But I think they actually missed a lot more, and they just didn't show those. But Kenny Moore had a terrible day yesterday. He had 3 missed tackles. Kenny Moore was atrocious yesterday. That's a guy that got completely annihilated. But Kenny Moore's had a good season, so
yeah.
I think for AR, kind of like what I told you guys earlier, I'd give him another year, but I'm drafting a quarterback this year. I'm drafting another quarterback. And when I look at this list, it's probably not going to be in the top 3 guys. You'll see what happens with Jalen Milroe. He's kind of the third ranked quarterback on the ratings right now, based on who may or may not come out. There's 1 of 3 guys there's 1 of 4 guys I go look at. I look at Jalen Milroe. I look at Dylan Gabriel, look at Jackson Dart, and I look at Quinn Ewers. I think one of those 4 guys. Just till you bring somebody else in. Not saying that they're going to be the starter. You just got to bring somebody in.
Competition wise.
You
Flacco's not
always
competition.
draft a quarterback. Every draft class, until you find one, you draft a quarterback. Every single one. Until you find that guy. Like I said, not saying it's going to be Jackson Dart. Not saying, hey, you could go get Carson Beck next year, and then that guy develops into your franchise quarterback. The moment you find that guy, you're good for 15 years, right? You're good for 10 to 15 years if you build it right. But your number one job as the GM is to go find that guy. And you do it until you can find him. And until you have a GM that's willing to do that, look, you're not going to get lucky like the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes was a reach. They reached for Patrick Mahomes. He was not very good in college. I watched Patrick Mahomes. He was not very good. But they put him in a system. They built around him, and he became really, really good. And so you get once you find the guy, you build a team around him, and then you're solid. You're gold. But you have to try every year.
Now,
I don't think the Colts have drafted a quarterback in 6 years.
They did. Sam Ellinger.
That was like 6 years ago. 5 years ago.
I thought you said in 6 years. I was like, well, they did draft him. And they drafted
that guy was sucks. That guy was sucked at Texas. I could have told you that.
They drafted that bomb from Washington.
Yeah, that guy was terrible too. Jacob Eason.
Yeah.
You know why? You know how I know Sam Ellinger sucked? Because the coach that he played under at Texas didn't hold anybody accountable. Shocking. They brought in the same guy.
Oh, it was Charlie? So it's wrong?
No, it was Tom Herman.
Okay. I got you. Yeah, because he on
Tom Herman. You know how just side note, you know how Texas developed the 5-star talent, 3-star program culture? You know why people kept calling Texas that? Because that was Tom Herman. Dude, Tom Herman got so many number 1 recruiting classes while he was here, and he won 10 games once. There's so many players from Texas that are in the NFL right now that were under Tom Herman. And
didn't he come from who? Didn't come from Houston?
Oh, from Texas. They come from all over Houston, Dallas.
No, didn't he come from the Cougars?
Yeah, he came from the Cougars. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that guy just got fired by FIU, by the way.
This coming by Blue Nation says, do you believe anything will happen with next week? Next Monday after the season ends. I would hope so. I think is that Black Monday they call it.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, I wish they call it Black today because we need that to happen as soon as possible. Blue Nation, if you believe in accountability, if you truly believe the word starts with an A and it's one of the first things that is going to happen, then the first day of Black Monday, we will hear Shane and I'm done with him. We'll talk about him later. I'm done with him too. We'll hear Shane and Chris.
Trash ass defense coach, trash ass linebackers that think they are good and really bad. Taylor, what about Carson? I mean, Carson Beck, Quinn Ewers, Jalen Merrow, Jason Dart. Jason Dart really good. Those guys, all those guys would challenge Anthony Richardson, possibly leading up to a starting position if they beat him out. Which we'll know if that happens with that and have a quarterback competition.
Here's the one thing about all those quarterbacks. If I'm Anthony Richardson and you draft any of those quarterbacks, here's the one thing you should be worried about as Anthony Richardson. All of those quarterbacks have more experience.
And they are
and they've been in winning.
They don't have health issues. They don't have health issues either.
Quinn Ewers does.
Well, that just happened recently.
Every 5 seconds, man. I love my quarterback. Jesus. They all have experience, and they all are coming from programs that are no jokes. They didn't come from Florida, who is struggling to win two games a year. These guys are coming from playoff, national title, contending programs. So if I was Anthony Richardson, that's the only thing I'd be worried about. Right?
But Taylor Lee, you're not the only one that have said Steichen's not the answer. And a lot of people, of course, a lot of us we all in agreement about Ballard should be fired immediately. I wish it was today, but We're gonna move on to the next topic. Beck, look, I mean, I don't have a problem Beck, but I don't think Beck would be our guy. But if he's sitting down for multiple years, you never know what could happen. Same thing with Mero, Quinn Ewers, even Jackson Dart. He's been pretty good at Ole Miss. A lot of those guys will push AR to either start or even help him be a better quarterback moving forward, because having a Gardner Minshew and Joe Flacco is not motivating him. He's pretty much complacent. He's like, I can beat those guys because I'm athletic. I can throw, I can run, and he's not really he's not being challenged by a guy that a guy his age who wants to start. So because none of the guys probably wants to be drafted to be a bench player, but and to Harish's credit, those guys would challenge him, either be a starter or, hey, push our quarterback to be better at the position.
The one thing you would need if you got Carson Beck, you have to have a good tight end, and we don't have good tight ends. So I don't think Carson Beck would work in Indianapolis, just simply because our tight end room is such a joke. Now, if you got like a Tyler Warren or one of those guys, then that changes everything. But Carson Beck without a tight end is not very. I don't know if you guys have watched Georgia football. I've had the pleasure of losing to them twice this year, but it's not because of Carson Beck.
I mean, the same can be said with Quinn Ewers. I mean, the tight end y'all had with previous year, he was pretty good too. With that, I mean,
Quinn Ewers is strictly health. Quinn Ewers has to be able to put games together. Like Quinn Ewers will play really, really well, and he gets hurt, and it takes him like 3 games to adjust, and then he plays really, really well again. He gets hurt. It gets him 3. Like he's played really well. He played really well last week, but that's after 3 games after being back, right? So if that trend continues, Quinn Ewers is scheduled to get hurt this week. Like that's just how it's worked his entire. Like it's literally a pattern. Like he played really well the first 3 weeks of the season, got hurt against UTSA, was out for a month, came back the week before Georgia, it was terrible for like 3 weeks. Played Florida, was excellent against Florida. Excellent against Kentucky, gets hurt, 3 weeks, he was bad. Comes back against A&M, and he was okay, but he was really good last week against Clemson. So we're on the cycle train with Quinn Ewers. So I love Quinn Ewers. He's helped turn the Texas program around, but his health is my problem. That's why I wouldn't touch him. He's just you're basically AR is not healthy, so why would we go get another quarterback that has the same issues? And our medical staff is stupid, so I wouldn't trust them.
I agree. But we're gonna move on to the next topic, which is DeForest Buckner is tired of missing the playoffs. I think a little presser where they asked him about just things from outside and just looking in, and just asked him did he regret signing an extension in the offseason. He said he didn't regret, but he said he is tired of missing the playoffs. He ain't gonna lie, he's tired of it. You want to expound on that, Harish, Austin?
I mean, somebody that good, of course they're tired of not making the playoffs. Like he's literally, you could argue he's our best player, and he's a leader on the defense. He wants to make the playoffs. Everybody wants to make the playoffs. So yeah, whenever he gets here and he doesn't make the playoffs at all, yeah, it gets old. It gets old fast. So I'm just glad that he said he didn't regret re-signing with us, because I was worried that he might be one of the ones that asked to be traded, but that kind of made me think he'll stick around.
He did say that there will be some changes in the offseason, and it might be uncomfortable for others. I don't know if they're saying like he's going to possibly ask for a trade like Gilmore did, which worries me still. But he also been to a Super Bowl with the Niners. He made the Super Bowl before coming here. Which, yeah, I do understand when you're tired of not making the playoffs for a team that value your strength and weakness, value your strengths on the field, which is getting to the quarterback, clogging up the middle of their defense. He have done that since he's been there, despite having injuries and COVID and a list of other things. He have done that consistently. It's just not winning. Now it's always it's always a failed season. In the how long you been here? 6 years? It's like you've been 6 years or something like that. So
since 2019, right?
Yeah, so that's a couple seasons. Yeah, so I understand his frustration, but go ahead. I know Harish, you're advocate and you love the trade, and I know how you possibly feel, but let everybody know how you feeling about that. Him being tired and missing playoffs.
Man, I'm tired of not making playoffs either, man. Like, I agree. I'm tired of not making playoffs either. I'm tired of not being able to win the worst division in football. I'm tired of a lot of different things, man. I feel bad for DeForest Buckner. The guy got. It's not like he had a choice, but he got traded from one. Listen, if DeForest Buckner stayed in San Francisco and they paid him, they could have probably won a Super Bowl by now. DeForest Buckner would be a champion. We'd never hear about DeForest Buckner sniffing the Colts. But dude, again, your best players. Chris Ballard has wasted the prime of the core of this team. Right? You would think about it, Jonathan Taylor probably has like maybe 1 to 2 years left. Michael Pittman Jr. and that dude past his prime. He can't even stay healthy. But he was great yesterday, but that's like the best game he's played. Quentin Nelson, like how many years does he have left of like high quality football? He's like 26, 27. He maybe has 2 or 3 years left. Like I feel bad for all those guys that you built a core around and did nothing to help them. Like you built the core of this team, and then you said, "Yeah, you know what? Let me go get what's that guy's name? Let me go get Womack. Womack. That guy. Let me go get that guy to fill a roster spot." Hey, we made a cut today. Somebody was held accountable. Some guy in the practice squad I never heard of. That's nice.
And not
Hey
to
man,
mention
you didn't play at all yesterday, but you're cut.
not to mention adding a guy that they signed, but they cut him because of the physical that he failed. So
Who's that? Oh, Mark Galinsky?
no, the guy. No, we picked up a guy from the Niners. Was it a week ago, Austin?
Yeah, sometime last week. He was a cornerback.
Yeah, cornerback from the Niners.
I forget his
Oh,
name.
nice.
But yeah, he failed his physical.
That's one classic Ballard move. Anyway, but anyway, yeah, I mean, dude, I feel bad for Defoe, man. Y'all know how much I love DeForest Buckner. He's my favorite player on the team. Class guy, has been through it all with this organization, stuck through it, believed in the organization, and saying, "Hey, you know, we got you. We're gonna turn this around." I feel bad for him, man. And honestly, like just out of the respect that I have from him, I would love to trade him to a team that can win a Super Bowl. He deserves a Super Bowl. Like I'd give him the best trade him to the Chiefs. Let him go win a Super Bowl with the Chiefs or something. I want to see that guy win a Super Bowl. Like I would root for the Chiefs if DeForest Buckner. I want to see him win a Super
Bowl. Well, I mean, it only fitting if he goes to the Chief, give us Chris Jones. Hey, it's even trade.
Look, keep them both. I don't care. Like, what does it take for that guy to guarantee him a Super Bowl because he deserves one? That dude left the Super Bowl team to come to the used car salesman who sold you a lemon, and he hasn't even sniffed the playoffs since he got here. I think once. Right? We maybe got there once. Yeah, that was the Philip, which shockingly was the only year Chris Ballard was ever successful.
Yeah, we made it. Yeah,
you know what?
Second year, right? The second year when Luck came back.
That was so long ago. Yeah.
And then when Rivers was here.
That was the COVID year, wasn't it?
Yeah, where we got we still had an opportunity to beat the Bengals, but
yeah. We didn't even win the division that year. That year the division was terrible.
Tennessee won it, I think.
Yeah, wasn't that the year Tennessee had like 60 injuries and they still won the division?
Yes. Bama said, "What about the IU quarterback?" I don't know that.
Curtis Rourke. I don't know. I don't know too much about IU football. That's not really my level of expertise. I know a lot of you guys like IU football because you're Colts fans, but IU is not really like the standard of football to me. So I don't. He's okay. Like I think he got way in and over his head when he played Notre Dame and tried to do too much. Again, it's just all about system and fit and making sure you put the right pieces around him. And I don't know if Indianapolis has those pieces to make him successful.
I know Taylor mentioned about what we think about the what Pat McAfee said, and we agree with Pat McAfee. A lot of things he did say. Some of it is overreaction, but for the most part, we agree that there's bad culture. They didn't win the division in 10 years, and everybody needs to be held accountable, starting with Irsay, Ballard, the players, the coaching staff, including Anthony Richardson. So we all in agreement with that. What about willing to bring in Sam Darnold? He ain't going nowhere, and Russell ain't going nowhere either. Russell going to get resigned.
Sam Darnold's about to get paid, bro.
Yeah, I mean Russell is too, even though he lost the last 3 games. Well, they did, but they are talking about extending.
Russell Wilson's like 90. Russell Wilson needs to retire. He's washed.
Chris Ballard makes my blood boil. Yeah, me too. Let's move on so we can get it by at some point. Shane Steichen press conference. If you all seen it, some of you have and some of you haven't. But we're here to break it down. Shane Steichen had a press conference and they asked about his job security. They asked about the embarrassing loss to the Giants, and it just seemed like he does not care. It seemed like he's not synced with what's going on. The reality of us being eliminated again, leading either the last game or second to last game to get into the playoffs or have a chance to get into the playoffs, and we are let down once again. And he just seems like he don't answer, the questions properly. Even I think they asked him about how he should have worded Anthony Richardson injury. He's all week he said soreness. And be like, what the fuck? He can play on soreness. But he said he should have worded it as back spasm, making his quarterback get roasted from everybody saying that he's soft, he should play. But if anybody had a back spasm, you can't move a damn. You can't move right, left, forward, or back. And his coach allowed him to get embarrassed by other players around the league. So who wants to crack at this press conference? Austin, you can go again, Austin. You can go again. I can tell in your face that you want to talk about how frustrating it is to hear this man talk about this BS.
It's literally the same thing every time he speaks. We played bad. I did bad. I need to do better. We need to do better. It's never. Like you said, he never answers questions. Like, he always goes around the question. I think he learned from Chris Ballard to not answer questions. Just go around every question any way you can. Don't give anybody a straight answer. And really confuse people. And that he's just, I think he's perfected it. But it's the same thing. If we give him another year, I'd be okay with it, but I'd also be okay with it if we got a new head coach along with the new GM at this point.
What's the one thing he said all the time in that press conference? He said 2 things that really pissed me off.
He said,
cleaning it up.
I got to get better. The team got to be better. It's disappointing. The shoe stuff, like he's
we're cleaning it up, dude. We're 17 weeks in the season. What are we cleaning up? Like, why are we even past that part? I think the other piece is like the accountability thing, right? I think the one thing that really stuck out to me, and it goes back to what Pat said, right? He said something about like, I've heard guys not being on time to meetings, and then the one thing that Shane was asked about this, and he said, not everyone's going to be on time. Wait, what do you mean not everyone? Why isn't everyone on time, Shane? Like, why? Like, people get mad when I say this. I don't understand why people get mad when I say this. Running an NFL team from a management level is no different than your management structure at work. It's not any different. It is the exact same thing. What's different is they're just in a mostly public profession. GM is the director. Your owner is the CEO. Your coach is the manager, and your players are the individual contributors. So if somebody came up to me as a manager of a team on my team, and they came to my team and they said, hey, I'm late today. And then the rest of the company had a press conference to ask why Joe was late. And I was like, you know what? People on the team are late all the time, man. No big deal. Like, it just happens. We'll get better at it later. Like, Not everyone's going to be on time. Sorry. Like that is insane. You would never go to work and your manager would never tell his boss. Not everyone's going to be on time, bro. It just doesn't work that way. I don't understand why it's so difficult. Like being a G. Listen, I've gotten to a point to where I could 100% tell you, looking at 90% of the GMs in this league, there are better GMs in Madden than there are. I don't care what you tell me. Like I 100% believe it. I can go get the best Madden content creator to be a GM of a real team. They would do better than 90% of the GMs in the league because these games are built the exact same. You have a salary cap, you draft picks, compensation. You have all that stuff, right? And you look at it almost the exact same way as you would in real life. You evaluate the talent, you look for what you look for, you build a team. It's not difficult. Let's not pretend like what these guys are doing is some sort of specialized skill. They go back, they look at what they like, they have a philosophy, and they build a team behind it. It's not any different than the workforce. We have to stop treating it. So, well, more moral of the story is stop telling me that everybody, it's okay. People are late because that's why you suck at accountability. And I don't want to hear the phrase "we're working on it" or what is the phrase that he says? I always have to look it up. It pisses me off so much. What's that phrase that he uses? What does he say? We're cleaning it up. We're cleaning it up has turned into chopping wood. It's turned into climbing the mountain. That's what we're doing. That's what that means. Like we're cleaning it up basically means we're chopping wood. We're climbing the mountain. It's new head coach, same motto. That's where we're at. Like that, I wish I never saw that press conference, and I regret watching it because it made me even more infuriated than I was.
Yeah, it's disappointing. It really is, because you're supposed to hold all your players accountable. If you're missing late, if you're missing practice, late for practice, late for your what they your to checkups and all that stuff to make sure your bodies are good and all that. You late to all those things where it helps you day to day, game to game, and you're late to that or not going to it at all. What this says about other guys, what it says about the young guys who are looking up to you, who wants to be in your shoes to be a starting pro in this tough league where you can get cut today, tomorrow, for just not even doing anything, but it's always going to be something where you know you can get cut. It's just it's a brutal business, and like you said, people that are doing those things, you got to be held accountable. And you having a coach that's saying, and it's basically okay. That's disappointing. That is disappointing. It's absolutely disappointing. And he needs to speak. He needs to speak up. Stop being scared to be that head coach and being people friends and saying, "Hey, I don't want to say certain things because I might either possibly lose the locker room, might lose certain players." We don't care about those feelings. We got to say the things that need to be said as a head coach, or your ass can get fired. You can get fired. Mike Vrabel was probably the best thing that happened to Tennessee and got fired. Because he was too stubborn. And at the rate that Shane Steichen is, he can be too stubborn and in over his head and can be fired as well. I'm not advocating to be fired, but I'm saying if he continues being stubborn, continues to ignore the issues that's going around his own team that he sees, that he's coaching, he could lose his job. He can lose his job in a hurry. And I mean, I don't have no sympathy when it comes to that because that's your job. You're going to hold the quarterback for accountable for throwing picks or pick sixes or whatever you want to do, for being inconsistent or tapping out and all that. You got to be held accountable for what you're saying for your players or star players not showing up for practice. So, I mean, in meetings and all that stuff, you have to be. That's how you get 1% better. You've been promoting for years. Let's get 1% better. Well, you can't get 1% better if you're not showing up for practice. You're not showing up for treatment. You can't.
I think treatment's the biggest thing, right? Like if you're hurt for multiple weeks, you're not showing up for treatment. That's not good. Like that's prolonging an injury. Like that's one like 5-minute session that could get you back a week soon. Right?
I agree.
That's
That's
insane. And it's honestly disgusting. It's sad that this is what this franchise has turned into.
I agree.
It's just sad.
our next topic, we don't have to really talk about it too much, but it is embarrassing. So
I
if
got
you don't
nothing.
want to, yeah, I mean, I can allude to it.
You can take it. I got nothing to say on this.
Zaire Franklin didn't deliver, and when I say why I didn't deliver, not because he was bad on the field, it's just the fact that when you go out and your teammate asks you what team you want to play, and pretty much basically padding your stats, you go out and say the Giants, a bad team that's got a big market. You named the Giants on your podcast, and you get the Giants on your Week 17 matchup in New York, the market that you listed, you mentioned, and you go out and get embarrassed. You go out there and allow the team that hasn't scored. How many points? What you said, Austin? It hasn't scored 30 or what you said, but it scored
Yeah, they haven't
45
scored
points on us.
30 all year and scored 45.
Scored 45. Is a they did everything from neighbors, from kickoff returns after halftime, from missed tackles from neighbors and Wandale Robinson, missed tackles from Lacey, the running back, missed tackles from Devin Singletary. I'm sorry. It's a list of failure for a guy that spoke on his podcast and talking about gang this, gang that, and what he's gonna do when he see that team and he's gonna get his because he's tired of facing and struggling or battling against great talents or great teams. He wanna get his stats up on a team that's bad, and you get beat pretty bad like you did on Sunday. That is embarrassing. And I hope you don't ever say that shit again on a podcast, because now you got to answer for it. Everybody's going to play that clip, and you're going to get all type of bad publicity based off those comments are saying what you want, and you had that opportunity to go do it, and you got your ass cooked. And it's deserving. You deserve to get all the roast coming your way because of what you said. You want the Giants, you had the Giants, and you didn't do anything. You didn't deliver. What you got, Austin? If you don't have anything, I understand. But this,
I mean, you said it all. Like it's just embarrassing. Like you said, it's embarrassing.
It's embarrassing because you went in details what you wanted and how you wanted to get it. It was in your face, and you shit the bed. You shit the bed. You didn't perform as you allowed yourself, or you said or suggested on your podcast. I'm not going to diminish your work on the podcast and what you do on the field on a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis. But what you make a comment like you did, you gave a team ammunition for a team that was drafting first overall in next year in 2025, in April 2025, and they won a game and they put away their quarterback hopes just for that shit. Put it back, possibly getting a quarterback with a choice between Cam Ward, Shador, whoever they wanted, and they put it away because you said you want to beat them in a large market.
Bro, they tried to lose and they won. That's crazy. Like, why did teams are not trying to beat us? Like they're like the two, like when we lost with Wentz, the Jaguars weren't trying to win that game. They were trying to lose that game. And then this year, the Giants were trying to win yesterday. They were trying to lose yesterday. And Zaire Franklin, your podcast sucks anyway. That podcast is. Have y'all listened to this podcast?
I don't search for the podcast. It's just on my timeline. I don't go.
Have you heard the clips? It sucks. That podcast is terrible. It's just as bad as their tackling.
And Brenton, I'm not saying that he's a great. I am just saying that he does lead the league in tackles. It's just the fact that they don't give him the right to say, I want to play the Giants because they're a bad team and I want to get my shit, get my stats. I'm looking for me, and then give the team ammunition to go out and put 45 on your defense. 45. Yeah. And you got a C on your chest and you allow 45 points. Whether you only between you and EJ, y'all had 2 missed tackles, you didn't do what you're supposed to do. You did not do what you start out in the whole 21-3. Yeah, I wouldn't just shoot out with a team that. So yeah, we need to get out of here at some point. But let's talk about what's next for this team. Which we don't know what's next, but what's next for this team? What can we do to get back on track and play Colts football? Have this culture back. Have this winning organization that we've been rooting for. I know for me almost over 25 years. But what is next for the Colts? I know, there's a lot of changes need to be made. We don't know if it's quarterback, we don't know if it's head coach, we don't know if it's DC, GM, we don't know. But what you guys think is next for the Colts? Go ahead, Austin.
I mean, I can say what we all want. Irsay give it up to his daughters, fire Chris Ballard. If he keeps Shane Steichen for another year to see how it goes, cool. If not, cool. New defensive coordinator for sure. We just need a whole new culture, If we don't re-sign our guys, that's fine. We need a new culture anyways.
I agree. What's your take on that, Harish?
Yeah, you got to start over, man. Blow the whole thing up, honestly. Like, here's the thing. This is the way I see this, right? You cannot start like Ballard started his regime, right? You've got to start at the very, very beginning. First, you got to figure out, is Jim Irsay going to run the team? Is he going to hand it off, right?
Yeah.
He's going to hand it off. He needs to hand it off, like literally hand it off. Hand the team off. The first job for those pair, whether it's one, if it's both daughters, one daughter, half, whatever they decide the responsibilities are, the first thing you don't do anything, right, until you find a GM. Find a GM. Don't worry about the head coaches. Don't worry. You find the GM that you need, right? And this Andrew Luck retiring screwed is big time. That's a lame joke excuse. I hate that excuse. It's been 8 years. Well, how long has it been? Like 5 years, 6 years? That's a lame joke excuse.
Yeah.
But anyway, once you hire the GM, you go figure out who your head coach is. Do not hire staff. You cannot put your head coach in his, oh, hey, I hired this guy 2 days ago. He just kind of left. You want to come in and this is going to be your staff? Can't do that. Shane Steichen had no option to pick his DC. I don't believe anything this franchise says. I don't believe one bit that Shane Steichen wanted. I cannot believe that. I find that really hard to believe, right? So you don't do one thing. You cannot do the next thing until one thing is complete, right? GM, figure out who the owner is. Look, if Jim Irsay is the owner, let Jim Irsay be the owner. Jim Irsay needs to go find a GM. Once he finds the GM, you get the head coach. You get the head coach. Let the head coach pick his staff. Or the GM and the head coach. Here's an idea. You work together to find the staff. That's amazing. And then once you have that all in place, the new regime evaluates the roster. Whether that's getting rid of everybody and going like 2 and 10, 15 next year, whatever. Evaluate the entire roster. You have to start this thing over. You've got to get rid of the podcasters. You have to get off these crappy deals that Chris Ballard has sucked you into. You got to get off of all these bad deals that you've got. And look, you're going to have a year of bad, maybe 2. But that sets you up for 2026 with Arch Manning, baby. And then you draft a quarterback every year until you find it, which might be Arch Manning 2026. But I think that's that you literally, I was thinking like a mini rebuild. No. You got to blow this whole thing up. Everybody got to go. Shane's got to go. Chris has got to go. And you start from the very beginning, and you have to build this thing right. Like this is basically like they're building on top of a broken foundation. The foundation of this team was never reset when they went from Shane Steichen, from Frank Reich to Shane Steichen, and that was really obvious. Ballard should have been gone when Reich was fired. That didn't happen.
Yeah.
And this is the consequences of that. So I think you have to start completely over, and you don't do one thing until one thing is finished.
Yeah, trying to get a new coach and having the same GM does not fix the problem. It does not.
Yeah.
I don't give a damn what head coach you got, from what tree you got. It does not solve anything. I know people say Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson not coming here to save this team.
Ben Johnson might not be the answer because it's not. It's probably not what the new GM wants. Maybe the new GM wants a different type of scheme or a different type of He wants a different type of
Well,
culture.
it
Maybe
will
Ben
help.
Johnson can bring
It
that.
will help with the new GM, but having Ben
Yeah.
Johnson with Chris Ballard does not.
No,
It
I
will
mean,
not.
listen, but even with the new GM, right? There's no saying that Ben Johnson with the new GM stuff. Like Ben Johnson, here's the thing. Like this is the other thing that we get stuck on. Like brand new coordinators becoming head coaches. It has not worked out. It has not worked out. You cannot tell me one brand new coordinator, maybe one or two in the last years, where they went from being a coordinator to the head coach with no head coaching experience and it's worked out. I
Well,
can't think of
I
one.
would say McConnell. I mean,
But it's
the
only
day
been 1 year. Like it's been what 2 years there. Maybe that works out. Maybe
and Zach Taylor from Bengals. I mean, it's a
has it
couple,
worked
but
out? I mean, yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
they
actually,
went
I
to
mean,
Super
if you
Bowl.
think about it, when they went to the Super Bowl, but now they got a
Their
quarterback
quarterback
that
got hurt.
can't stay healthy.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that
So
not every quarterback
yeah,
has you can say Kyle
I meant
Shanahan or whatever, but yeah.
yeah. I think you need to look at like experienced head coaches. You because being a coordinator is not the same as being a head coach. The problem that these coordinators have that I've seen is they want to control something. Like Shane
Oh
said, "Oh,
yeah,
I want to control the offense." That's fine. You can call the plays, but you have an offensive coordinator that's just kind of like making a paycheck to like twiddle his thumbs and pick his nose. Like they don't do anything. Like these brand new coordinators that just come in and be like, "Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna run the offense. Joe over there is gonna run the defense. Things are gonna be like this isn't remember the Titans. Like you gotta have a system. You have to like this. You got to get this stuff right, and it's got to start at the top. But anyway, I mean, there's names that we all like, but it's about figuring who the GM is, what his culture is, and how he wants to set the culture, and then you go get the staff. You go figure out who the head coach is. You might miss out on a couple guys. So what? Go find the guy for your system, and if the guy's out there for you, believes in you, he'll be. But if you were gonna really rebuild this thing, it's really got to get rebuilt from the top, and that's figuring out is it Jim Irsay or is it his daughters? You kind of go from
and I agree. I mean, well said from the both of you. It is you guys covered enough, and what should be next for the team. I mean, of course, we don't have the answers for what's going on because we did. The team wouldn't perform the way they did if we have the answers because we have a better head coach, probably better GM, possibly better quarterback, better everything. I ain't gonna go through the whole list. But it is disappointing. It is disappointing having Chris Ballard 8 years. We don't know it's gonna be the ninth year, but sure disappointing in the 8 years. And I went over the list and just it is disgusting. I'm gonna go with that word. I had a nicer word, but it's disgusting. The guy's gonna say the same thing. Once the season ends, he's gonna say the same thing. And he showed us what he was, I think, before the season started, when he said something about, if it give me fire, give me fire. He didn't give a shit. He didn't care. Maybe he checked
there.
out then.
Yeah.
So and he should leave. If he felt like getting fired is what should happen, to himself, then give his ass walking paper. Let his ass go waste somebody else's franchise moving forward. But it's time for like I've said for weeks, he have overstayed his welcome with this team. Everybody is against him. I know a guy, that shares the same name as one of our DNs on our team. He's a big Ballard fan, and he sounds like a clown. He sounds like a clown. Us disrespecting Chris Ballard for one day, it's not one day. It's been 8 years. You just a homer, and you just love this guy for whatever reason because you feel like this guy can turn it around after 8 years and build a team. You can't get stuck on this 2019 luck shit. This shit is gone. The man is a GM for Stanford. That man moved on. We should move on as well. You should move on as well, and see this team as the entirety that we need an overhaul. We need new faces. We need a new voice. We need something new. Every team does it. We should do it, and we can move forward with whoever is the starting quarterback, whoever it is, maybe running the head coaching position, whoever the GM is, and whoever the owner is, whether it be well, I can't remember names, Karen or whatever.
I think it's,
Christy,
it's Carly.
Carly and
Yeah, I
Christy
know
or
Carly's one of them.
I think
And
it's
then I
Karen.
forgot the other. Is it Kristen?
Yeah, something like the Kristen or Karen. I don't know. I can't remember, but well, whoever knows his name, be looking forward for those names possibly taking over this team in the next 2-3 years. Because Thursday is probably at his last road for his health. Not saying that he's going to die, but for his health, he's been in a decline for years. He's checked out, and he got his own problems. He needs to turn it over to the newcomers. His daughters probably are able to do it. If not, possibly sell a team to somebody else. They can do it, and that's okay. But the Irsay family probably needs to change. This team needs to be where it was with Pay Manning. Those days are long gone, and we're needing to be back in. I won't say back in the glory days, but back to the winning ways, back to the winning culture. And that's not, we haven't seen that in a long time, and it is getting very frustrating for all the fans. And I challenge all you fans next week, if they don't take what we're saying, not just me and the two guys on this panel, but everybody, if they don't take it serious, don't show up to the games. Don't show up. Then they start making changes. Then they see that the guy that selling air balloons, selling balloons on, selling us fake dreams every week, every year for 8 years, gotta go. But if you guys don't have anything else to add to this show, we're gonna get up out of here, guys, because we have been on enough to let you know the frustration that we have with this team. We've been on long enough, and we want you guys to have the rest of your night. I don't know who's winning the game for Monday Night Football, but it's a trash bowl because the Lions are way better than the Niners. But I think it's a close game. I think it's a shootout. I think, but I don't know the score. But
Kaylin and Carly, by the way, are his daughter's names that should be taken.
Yes, Kaylin. I think it's Kaylin Jackson. Yeah.
Yeah, like Kaylin Jackson hyphenated something. Or no, Kaylin Jackson and Carly Ursay Gordon.
Yes, I can't remember, but remember those two names. Either one of those could be I think Kaylin is the CEO, so she might be the person that takes over because she is a CEO.
Yeah, that makes sense because that kind of like goes directly, and then Carly's going to be working the operations. Is how I worked. It's gonna work.
So basically, Kaylin will be taking over ownership whenever that time comes. So, and
well,
both of them,
I've heard rumblings that they've like kind of already started like asking questions and doing. You know how like new management comes in and they just like spend a lot of time like with the team and asking questions and seeing how different. Like I heard that that's been going on for a while. So hopefully that's a sign. I also saw a report today from just to throw this out there. I don't know how. Don't quote me on this. We're not breaking any news or anything like that.
Yeah.
But somebody mentioned, I forgot who the guy here, let me pull it up real quick. I actually shared it in a group chat. But somebody mentioned that it looks like there are murmurs of front office shuffling in Indianapolis. So it was posted by Dustin earlier today. It was kind of like one of those insider posts, like one of those like what do you call those things? The insiders, the paywalls. It was one of those paywall posts. And he posted basically, somebody saying that. So take of that what you will. It was posted by Albert Breer, who Albert Breer is pretty reliable, and he basically said that, hey, look for Indianapolis and Miami to shuffle things around. So hopefully that's really true. Maybe our misery.
Louis Riddick,
bro. Number one, y'all think I'm playing, man. I would love to have Louis Riddick. I think there's like 5 or 6 GMs. We'll have a GM. We'll have a GM episode, I'm sure. Like
we should.
Yeah. And I've got like 5 or 6 options.
I'm definitely going to have an episode with if Bradley is fired. It'd be an emergency episode. I ain't waiting until the next one.
Oh, we can do that, yeah, for sure. If he gets fired, hey man, we can call it a celebration. We'll bring alcohol and everything, right? We'll bring some beer and have a good old time. I'm excited.
Anything you want to add, Austin, before we get up out of here, man? I know, like I said, it's been real. It was time for us to make our exit. Anything you want to add?
No, I'm all right.
All right, then. Well, Austin the Great, Austin the Assassin. I don't have anything else to say. What about you, Reach? I don't want to leave you out of it.
Oh, man, I'm good, bro. I've said my piece. I'm just counting down the days. Please let this misery end as soon as possible. I'm so sick of this misery. I hate losing.
Yes, I do too. Go ahead and plug in your y'all socials and so we can get up out of here. And what y'all got going next.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at CookieAustin2 and have a happy new year.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, everyone have a happy new year. You can find me at the Uncle Gandhi. Of course, my guy Tim Wayne, live Thursday nights, Longhorn Fan Battle podcast where we talk everything Texas Longhorns. Of course, Texas is going to win the quarterfinal on Wednesday. Then we've got SEC play to look forward to in basketball where we're going to probably lose every game. So tune in Thursday nights as we talk about how terrible our basketball team is for the next 4 months. Thursday night. As great as football has been, our basketball team sucks. It's terrible.
I can't relate, but you can find me at Who Is Y'all Senior. You can find our podcast on all our social medias from Twitter at Horseshoe, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. You can subscribe to that channel, but you can find us at Horseshoe_mob. Check us out, subscribe to the channel. And we already announced the winner of the drawing on last week. Shout out to her. But yeah, we're gonna get up out of here, guys, and have a great New Year's. Happy New Year to everybody. We'll see you next year. On because I'm not even gonna ask for a prediction for this game, so I'm gonna ignore that. We don't care if we win next week against the Jags, so I'm not even gonna say your predictions because
I hope we lose.
So have a happy New Year to you and the guys on the panel, guys. Have a great New Year, guys, and we'll see you next week on an episode where we talk about more depression, more disappointment. So we're gonna get up out here, guys, and let's go.
On 1 out snap, it's a fact that I'm unstoppable. Forget your defense, nothing but an obstacle. Run it back, switch it up, calling audible.